Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The service department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
And welcome everybody here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. It is the final show before the holiday, and we are glad to have you along here on Proview Network's Comcast 26 as well as Facebook Live. Well, Ed, let's get right to it. We're going to start this show talking about the Lobos. We'll talk about the Lobo basketball team first. I guess it's official. The Lobos are going to win the national championship because Carlton Bragg made things all better.
Well, I don't think anybody suggested that. And, yeah,
I was waiting for you to laugh or something. Come on.
Yeah, I know it's funny. You know, people get very hyped up about wins around here. I thought he played very well. He's in shape. You know, I think one of the things that I read in the paper is that when he was at Kansas and he entered the starting lineup, they gave him a standing ovation. And Kansas, who's had Danny Manning go through there, Will Chamberlain, they know their basketball. So when I heard that, I'm like, okay, he lost, 45 pounds since he's been here?
Right.
And you know what? He's in the best shape that he's ever been. 16 points and 7 rebounds on Sunday. Does he cure all that ails him? Of course not. Does he make them better inside? And does he make Manigault and Edazine better and Pinchuk? I think he does. They have a lot more struggles on the perimeter than we probably would have thought without Jaquan Lau. We don't know what he would have brought, but I thought he would have brought some defense. And
Right.
Anthony Mathis having to guard ones all the time has definitely hurt the Lobos, because one thing that UTEP coach said is he felt like with the point guards, opposing point guards could play downhill because it's, you know, they see a mismatch problem, and they don't have. And Coach Weir has not taken off the press. You know, a lot of people are saying that the rebounding deficiencies are a result of that. And what Bill Walton said. What did Bill Walton say last week? You can't win with gimmicky defenses. So I don't know. I mean, sure, it was a great first victory with Bragg out there. There was a timeout during the game, and I don't know if you saw this or not. Coach Weir had his team huddled around him, and he was really on him, man. He wanted that game real bad, real bad. He didn't want to lose 4 in a row and two in a consecutive games at Dreamstyle Arena. So he was really, you know, they came through. They got North Texas tonight, Tuesday night. You know, you would expect them to win that, but no, you know, in answer to your question, Carlton Bragg definitely helps, but I think there's a lot more, you know, before they go to conference that they have to fix.
Well, let's talk about that game. 82-70 was the final score over Central Arkansas. The Lobos improved to 5-4. Central Arkansas now 4-6. And one of the things that stands out to me is Corey Manigault in 14 minutes, only 4 points.
That was one thing. The other thing to me Dane Kuiper 05, 0 points. That kind of, those things stuck out to me, both statistics. And Jeff Grammer, in writing about the return, or the debut of Carlton Bragg, didn't touch too much on those subjects. But when I saw that from Kuiper and then Corey Manigoltz, and remember, Corey Manigolt's still finding his way out of that doghouse. He was in the doghouse. He had played well to start the season. And then there was that incident in New Mexico State, and Coach Weir did discipline him. And I still think he's kind of still finding his way. And then plus, when you add a guy like Carlton Bragg, does it take away touches? Does it take – he posted up nice on Sunday. He posted up, and a couple of times they tried to force it to him. There's some turnovers as a result of that. There's going to be that. You see a big beast down on the block, you want him – Yvonne Sanchez said that. See the numbers, get him the ball. And so, there's going to be times that they want to make plays with him, and they'll be successful, and those other times they're going to force it and won't be. But I think one of the things you said, and Corey Manigoltz and Dane Kuiper both had poor games, but they still won.
The one thing about this game is Central Arkansas scored the first points of the ball game, and the Lobos led from then on. So they were in front. They never gave up the lead. They led by 8 at the half, and they had the game in control. But people look and say, 12-point lead over Central Arkansas. Is that good or bad? Now, other people will say, right after finals week, that's usually a trap game, so that's usually good.
Well, I think considering the way that they had lost 3 in a row, they'd lost a very disappointing game last week to Colorado after leading by 17. I think it's good, because, again, remember, this is a fishbowl. Nobody's really ever happy here. But I thought the other thing is with Drew Drennan and Keith McGee, they're still learning their way around. Drew Drennan, 7 assists on Sunday. That was good. Keith McGee's still finding his way as far as playing Division I college ball. And that's where Jaquan Lyle, I know we keep mentioning it, but they could have eased those guys in a little bit more now because of the injury to Lyle. They expect a little bit more. They expect them to be ready sooner. And they're having to play more minutes. Drew Drennan, though, looked good. He did play well on Sunday. They need more of that going forward.
Yeah, Drew Drennan with 7 assists. He only had 4 points, but 7 assists and 2 steals. And those aspects of his game are what are expected, and he's getting better and better.
I think one of the things that they had struggled with recently was 3-point shooting, and we had Coach Weir on here, almost 2 years ago, and one of the things he had said is their 3-point shooting hadn't been very good before he came in. It was good last year, one of the leaders in the nation, and recently they've been struggling in all phases to get rebounds, to get stops, to drive to the rim and get fouled. There were so many things that they were struggling with.
Right.
And, again, a good win against Central Arkansas on Sunday. And, they've got North Texas, I believe, tonight. And, those are good games for them to play right now, I think. Get your groove back. North Texas should be a win, right? That should be.
Well, they're 10-1 out of Conference USA, so a win, but I wouldn't say
easy one.
They're going to be winning easy, and obviously 10-1. They've played what could be called a weak schedule, but at the same time, if you're a 10-1 team, it depends on what they bring to the table. Now, I will say what's been told about this game is the fact that North Texas is going to be a lot shorter and a lot smaller than the Lobos. Now, how quick are they? Because we've seen quick teams kind of beat the Lobos to the punch. I don't know if that happens with Bragg in the lineup, but what's going to happen tonight, is anyone's guess.
It's a legitimate question because the Lobos, they're, I think, one of the tallest teams in the nation, if I'm right. So, no, that's true. And the quickness at the point guard is where New Mexico has been struggling because Mathis, again, Anthony Mathis, the senior, only shot, by the way, you mentioned Manigoltz and Kuiper, 4 of 15 for Mathis on the floor on Sunday. So he didn't have his normal good shooting day, and they still won. But I think that's a good point. Any team, until Drennan and McGee are really kind of ready to take over, Mathis isn't able to play his game either. He's playing out of position. He really is. So, having all those defensive assignments is maybe taken away from his offensive game a little bit. So Drennan and McGee probably won't be ready, really till conference starts for the defensive assignments that they're going to face in conference play. I mean, Nevada was ranked, 5th? Mm-hmm. Nevada's, yeah, so Nevada, man, wow, they have a lottery team there. They really do. So, that's down the way, but I think these games, and you make a good point there with North Texas, 10-1 is 10-1, and Coach Weir has to sell it like that to his team just because we beat one team and you had a joke about it, but it's true, doesn't mean we're ready to, just all of a sudden say we're going to beat anybody that comes in here.
Now, one thing that is no joke is Carlton Bragg. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds, and that was in 23 minutes of work, 7 of 12 from the field. So he comes in and does a really good job in a game that people are saying, well, is he going to take over? Is he going to be good? Or is he going to be not in game shape? Well, he proved he was in game shape, like you said.
Coach Weir said this is the best shape he's ever been in. And, okay, so here's the other thing, Scott, is they didn't say what happened at Arizona State. They just said they had very strict guidelines for him to be a part of the team, and they didn't say what they were, but he didn't make it there. Coach Weir had some guidelines, too. He had some guidelines for him to meet when he came here. And I got to say, look, how many McDonald's All-Americans has New Mexico ever had here? Not many. I can't think of the last one. I really can't even think of the last one. I'm sure there was one here. I don't think Kenny was an All-American, a McDonald's All-American, Kenny Thomas. So, when you get a guy, I think it's a perfect fit for the University of New Mexico. I really do. It's his last chance. He's been out of 2 programs already, at Kansas and at Arizona State. Certainly someone else will take a chance on him, but you don't want to keep going to schools and transferring. You want to make a home. I think, in what we saw in the brief time that he played on Sunday is certainly encouraging for Lobo fans and encouraging for Paul Weir.
North Texas led by 4 players averaging in double figures. Redshirt freshman Umaja Gibson, 13.5 points. Junior Ryan Woolridge, he's averaging 13. Zachary Simmons, 12.4. And Jordan Duffy, 10.1.
That's a balanced scoring attack there. So defensively, the Lobos will definitely have their hands full, and that's where they've struggled is perimeter defense, not so much inside. And, I wonder again if Manigault, after the poor game he had on Sunday, and again, remember, he had to write the letter of apology. He's been going through a lot the last 3-4 weeks.
Right.
Some of it self-inflicted. He did it to himself. But I think sometimes mentally, you're ready to play, and then you go out there and all these things, all these distractions, and you mentioned finals week as well. Finals week is so, there's a lot of things to think about. And I think one of the points you make, it's not they should win, right? I mean, they should, but it's not a gimme.
You would like to think that North Texas, looking at some of their scores, will be extremely beatable today, but they've had 10 days off since winning their last 2. They won on the road at Indiana State, 80-69. UT Arlington at home, 63-61. I look at that score and I think they only won by 2 at home. That's kind of a red flag, but a win is a win.
Sometimes I think, and this goes to high school or youth ball or anything, sometimes you can't, you go into a game thinking we're going to win by 20. You end up winning by 2. And I look at Albuquerque High right now, who are 0-5, but they've been in every game except against Cleveland, where Cleveland is blew them out the first game of the year. But they were in it against West Mesa. They were in it against Del Norte. They were in it against Valley. So you can't really tell. It comes down to who's going to make plays, who's going to execute the breaks of the game. Did you get a call at the end of the game? Things like that. So I don't know that you can read too much into that. I don't think you can. The Lobos, here's the thing, Scott. You just got to go tonight, take care of business at Dreamstyle Arena, and get a streak going.
Speaking of a streak, the next game is against Penn. That's the one that stands out to me because at first I thought, well, Penn, that's going to be an easy win. But they beat defending champion Villanova.
That's right, they did.
Guess what? Yeah. Villanova has what? Big players. So they've already played against a team of big players and a team of very physical players, probably more so than New Mexico. So that one is intriguing me, and that'll be on Saturday.
That's going to be an interesting matchup because Penn played Villanova, and that game was on AT&R channel, I believe, before the Lobos started. So I remember, waiting for the Lobo game to start. That was just last Saturday. So you're right. Penn has already seen a tall team, and they handled.
Well, like I said, not just tall. Villanova's known for being physical.
Oh, that's Big East ball. It's way different.
That's how you won.
Yeah,
that's how they've
ball,
won the national championship by being physical.
Oh man, They're throwbacks, right? Because everyone's going to the perimeter and finesse game, and Villanova, yeah, right, very physical. So that will be another test. But first things first, right? First things first.
Right. Wanted to get that in before the break, though.
Right. No. You're absolutely right. It's gonna. We'll have to see what happens tonight. Hopefully, the Lobos can keep the momentum going.
We'll take a break and come right back. First, the top 10 plays of the week by Dreamstyle.
Nice dish to Clark underneath. Get that out, said Garcia. Baker back out to Barrett for three. Got it!
Over to Gutierrez. Gutierrez.
Eurostep is rejected emphatically by Nielsen.
Here comes Baldonado. They got a 3-on-1. And Brown says, get it out! Cumber intercepts. VNA on the fast break now. He's got 2-on-1 on the bounce to get it back to Cumber underneath. Oh, what a pretty move.
Pick and roll at the top of the key. Amir's got a step, and Amir's going to go all the way and count it.
There's a drive underneath. Okoro! Thank you very much.
Then it was stripped away out in front. It's Blankenship, and he's got a wide open lane. No, he's going to put it down on the left hand.
Away.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlings, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or DreamstyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
And we're back here on the Sports Desk. Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. We talked Lobo basketball in the first segment. We'll talk New Mexico Bowl in the last segment, but right now we'll do what we normally do, and we're going to go over the polls. And we're going to look at the polls, then we'll look at some highlights from the Joe Armillo Classic, the championship games, but we'll look at the polls right now for girls And we'll go first to 2A. I keep needing to look at my sheet because there's no longer a 6A. In the past, it used to be 3 through 6, so now we go 2. You got Texaco number 1. You got the top 5 lined up there with Clayton at number 5. Your thoughts?
Well, Texaco was number 1 last week, and I think we talked about this. They were number 1 through pretty much all of last season. So familiar spot for the Wolverines. They're still number 1 in girls 2A basketball.
And let's go to 3A now. And in 3A, you look at Robertson number 1, Tucumcari, Hatch Valley, Santa Fe Indian, Socorro, the top 5, West Las Vegas at number 8, and Sandia Prep, one of the others.
Yeah, so again, I don't think much changed from last week. Great picture of the Las Vegas Robertson venue up there. I hadn't seen that one. I don't think I've seen that one ever. I haven't been up there. So good picture. You always got good pictures every week. So not much change in 3A girls from last week.
Yeah, I'm amazed that some people don't post as many pictures of their gyms or stadiums, but Robertson had a couple of good ones, and this is the one I like the most. So yeah, it was new as of this year. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, that's a new,
so that is, and you see the Cardinal in the middle, just like they have the Cardinal on the football field. You did a game there, so you know what the Cardinal on the field looks like.
Well, you mentioned the other day a gym doesn't have a logo in it, a new gym, and so that kind of made me think about, okay, I'm sure they're going to get one because that's the way a gym's supposed to, look right there.
4A, we will look at right now. Los Lunas is number 1. Last week it was Gallup number 1. This week Los Lunas is number 1. Highland, Kirtland Central, and St. Pius round out the top 5. Kind of weird, but Hope Christian down at number 7.
They're struggling a little bit, but they've played some 6A teams like they always do. And, Terry Heisey isn't there anymore. And, it's been 2 years since he's been gone. But they still have some talent out there. Haley Valencia, I believe, the younger sister of Hannah Valencia, the point guard, she's a sophomore now. She's a heck of a player. So, they graduated a lot of talent over the last 2 years. Destiny Holian, the all-time leading rebounder from Hope, she graduated last year, and Olivia Lewis. They've lost a lot of really good players. The fact they're still there hanging at number 7, but a flip-flop there because Los Lunas was number 2 last week, and they go to number 1 this week.
Take a look at 5A now. And in 5A, you got West Mesa at number 1. Hobbs was number 1 a week ago, so that flip-flopped. La Cueva number 3, Carlsbad 4, Rio Rancho 5. Then you go Piedra Vista, Mayfield, Volcano Vista, Sandia, and Centennial, the top 10.
Well, West Mesa beating Hobbs on a last-second shot in the tournament this weekend. Huge win, right at the buzzer. So, Hobbs ranked number 1, and West Mesa, a big win for them. They're still undefeated. La Cueva, they have a very good squad. I saw Robert Perea out there at the Joe Armijo tournament, head coach Robert Perea. So they've, they're right there. Scott Peterson and Rio Rancho at number 5. Mayfield and George Maya, I believe, was at the Joe Armijo tournament. So Lisa Villarreal at Volcano Vista at number 8 has some young freshmen. Lee Keddick at Sandia got Cumber back from an injury, and Sapira Broussard, they're number 9. Thought they'd be a little bit higher. But I got to say this, is this West Mesa's year to get that blue trophy? This is some of these girls are seniors now. Esperanza Vados, Emily Burke, Rivas, Jaden Castellano. I think he's a junior, but they've got a lot of girls that are, this is their 3rd year together. Is this the year that Manny Otero, the head coach of West Mesa, comes away with the blue trophy?
Let's take a look now. We'll look at, the highlights of the championship game of the Joe Armijo Classic. You mentioned the Joe Armijo Classic happening over the weekend. We'll look at the girls first here, and this was a good matchup.
Cleveland and Farmington. Talked to Adam Deal about it. He said the game went really well. Cleveland, under Susan Kabbalah, I think they're out to an 8-1 record, I believe. So they've played really well in the opening part of this season.
By the way, this game was on my 50, so as you can see the ground camera there. So good look at the layup there.
I was watching the other night, and our crew does a great job. They always do a great job. So having it on my 50, really a boon for ProView Networks for sure.
It's a big boom.
Good move there. Nice move to the basket. Beautiful shot there.
It's also nice seeing a really good crowd. They usually get good turnouts there, but a lot of times it's just people coming out to watch the game. So this looks more like a regular matchup.
That was a beautiful Euro step layup there by the Cleveland guard. So, no, you're right. There was a good crowd there, and I'm not sure if that was more Farmington than Cleveland, but a close game, too, to the end.
You saw there, it made it 39-34, and then Cleveland on a pretty good run to make it 41-36. And Cleveland got a little relentless there.
They did. And as I mentioned, Susan Kabbalah, the veteran coach, the former head coach at Sandia as well, has been around a long time. And I think, last year they started out well and they faded, and they're starting out strong again this year. But I believe this year they're 8-1, if I'm right. I think they've only lost one game. And I think they're up by 14 here.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned it was a very close game, and all of a sudden, just like that, they open it up. And, when you're aggressive and you keep building on a lead, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, you got to execute, and Cleveland did, so they come away with the championship of the Joe Armijo tournament. And as I mentioned, I got to laugh because Susan Kabbalah, when she was the head coach at Sandia, I'm telling you, when I was an official, she would work you and work you and work you. And I mean this, she fought for her kids. They all do, okay? So I didn't take this personally. She'd let you know. She'd let you know. It used to be, when she'd call me, hey, you. One time she actually called me by my name. I almost fell over. I was like, I didn't know I had a name. So, yeah, but I say this with all due respect. She's a good coach. And, I never looked at it. You're going to fight for your kids.
Right.
You're going to fight for your kids.
Right.
My son and I used to argue about that all the time when he coached the Pies. Dad, okay, son, how many games did you officiate? And, it's a different look out there because even when I coached, I used to think, hey, I know I could do better than that as an official until I became an official and understood that that wasn't the case. So anyway, congratulations to Susan Kabbalah. I think she does a great job, and she knows, again, Cleveland off to a hot start like they were last year. Let's see where they goes into district. Let's see if they keep it going.
This is Manzano Hope, by the way, as we will go ahead and run through these before we go to break. And this was another great matchup. And, on paper, you would have thought that Hope was going to be the favorite, but Manzano really did a great job taking it to him.
Dominic Romero's done a really good job there at Manzano. Dakota Powell came out from football. He's been big for them, as has Jack Blankenship. Tomas Romero, the guard, has also been a key component. I was surprised, to be honest with you, going into this game. I thought Hope would win. There's Powell on a drive right there, offensive foul there. But I got to say, one thing that surprised me early on is Colin Evans has not been scoring as much. Nice shot there. I think it was at Nidafin or Dockery. Hasn't been scoring as much as he normally does. And the Huskies have struggled a little bit, but they've always played a steady diet of 5A teams.
And the thing about it, I thought that after the game that Johnny Nidafan had the night before, I thought they were going to control this game. But as you saw from the score, it was Manzano getting out to that early lead and really putting Hope against the wall.
Look at Blankenship there, the wide receiver from football. He's given them a solid punch there. They have a new gym there, and nice move there by, I'm not sure that was Nidafin or Dockery. It's hard to believe that Nidafin and Dockery are seniors now. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful play there.
Yeah, Hope always hustling for those loose balls, and you had an open three in the corner, and you think they're going to get back into the game, and then this was a nice driving layup. So with the score 46-43, it would be Manzano ending up winning that game.
I think Manzano has surprised a lot of people. I really do. Dominic Romero had a winning record last year. They went to the state tournament, one and done. But I think with Blankenship, Powell, Tomas Romero, Allen, the center, Tyler Allen.
Right.
They've got some players. They really do. Look, beating Hope, anytime you beat Hope, Jim Murphy just got elected. We say this all the time. Every time that Jim Murphy is on the bench, there's a Hall of Famer. Well, he just got elected to the Hall of Fame, selected. So, we mentioned
that morning we talked to Jim Murphy on the radio, and he was concerned about that game, but he still thought that his team was going to be able to pull it out. And, his teams always will keep it close, but I'm impressed with Manzano.
You know what? One thing about Coach Murphy, well, I think that surprised me about him is you would think some guys that have 15 would be like, you know what? There's the competitive fire is still there. I don't care who they're playing. The guy's as competitive as he ever was. Congratulations to him and to Mike Brown and all the Susan Craig, Charlie Cowan, Chuck Aragon, the selections to the New Mexico, Bubba Jennings. I got a Bubba Jennings story I got to share with you in the next segment. I have to share it with you. So congratulations to all of them. I think one of the and I don't want to deviate too much, but Coach Brown, one of the coaches that for whatever reason is forgotten. We always mention Tasker and Holzman and Ron Geyer. The guy won 6 titles
in a row. Not 6,
yeah.
6 in a row.
So he definitely, I don't know why we forget him. It's almost like in football, when they're talking about the great coaches, they talk about Hallis and Lombardi and Landry. And, for whatever reason, Chuck Knowles is sometimes forgotten about, and he won 4 Super Bowls with Pittsburgh. So Mike Brown definitely deserves all the accolades. He was my coach at Holy Ghost years ago. His mother was my teacher at Holy Ghost. So I go back years with the Browns. So congratulations to Mike Brown. He definitely deserved it.
We'll take a break and come back with more on the Sports Desk.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
This is Coach Borrego of the Charlotte Hornets. Hello to all you parents out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to congratulate 38 years for the AYBL. You guys are doing a great job. You've shaped a lot of lives, young men and women, and you'll continue to do that. Parents, get involved, sign your kid up. It's a great program. It helped shape who I am today, helped shape me as a basketball player, as a coach. So get out there, sign them up. Have a great season. Good luck to everybody.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The service department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. Old Neowani, as always, doing a great job as our director. We got Jason Pohl, Josh Brown. Want to shout them out. Adam Deal also in the house. Steve Davis, the whole gang is here. And been a busy day here at the studio and the surrounding offices, but everything, it never winds down here, Ed.
No, you know what? I was talking to the producers last night, and those guys have been, man, they always do anyway, but on it seems like a 2-month roll. They haven't stopped. It's been one thing after another, and again, all the producers, Jay Pohl, all the Neowani, Josh Brown, Josh Luna, they do such a great job and so much work. If it wasn't for them, they're the backbone behind what we do. They really are.
Going back to what you were talking about with Mike Brown, talking with him over the weekend, I almost got the sense, he's proud of what he did. 6 straight titles is not easy. I almost, just by gauging the conversation, want to say he's almost more proud that his son Greg won a title than he was himself.
You know what? I'm going to go back to that title team in Manzano in 2007. Jacob Case, Cesar Madrid. No, Cesar Cuevas. I'm trying to think. Jesse Trujillo. Loaded team. But you know what? Okay, now when you're saying these things about his son's coaching, I remember that when they would face each other, Mrs. Brown, his wife, would have a T-shirt that would say Highland Manzano split, and then she.
Right.
So I thought there was some great moments there, and he was on the radio the other day, and he was talking about coaching against his sons, and it was certainly a personal pride. He said that he'd lose some. Mike Brown would lose a bet, and he'd have to do the dishes at Thanksgiving and stuff like that.
Yeah, he told us that too. He also said that going in, even though it was his son, he made sure he wanted to win. He made that clear. He said, make no bones about it, I wanted to win.
You know what?
I thought that was kind of interesting that he said that because it's his son, but he said, hey, it's my son, it's kind of hard to go into that game, but I went into that game wanting to win badly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when my son and I would play against each other, I'd last
Some dads might say, if he wins, no big deal. No, he made it a point to say, whether I won or not, I wanted to win that game.
Yeah, he definitely did. And I think he said he didn't beat Greg. He maybe beat him once, but he beat Danny, but he didn't beat Greg.
Right.
So that was interesting too. Greg had some fun. He still does. He had some phenomenal teams. But I thought that was some, just going back, I officiated Manzano Highland to go to state in 2006, and I remember that game. I remember that game like it was yesterday. It was at Highland, and Manzano won. Manzano won. Kind of a controversial call that I had no part of. I was on the total other end of the floor. But the next night at La Cueva, then Highland head coach Danny Brown came up to me and said, "Hey, what are we watching? Are we not watching?" I said, "Coach, I didn't see that. I wasn't involved in that." But that's how competitive Greg and Danny were.
Right.
Greg comes up to me, and I remember Coach Greg Brown, who I've known both of them for years. So Coach Greg Brown comes up to me and says, "Hey, don't listen to Fish." That was his nickname for Danny. "Don't listen to Fish, man. He don't know what he's talking about." So I had to laugh. I didn't even know who Fish was, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's Danny." And so they had a rivalry too. So think about it: the Mike Brown rivalry with Greg and Danny. Then Greg and Danny wanted to beat each other. Then when Coach Brown is done, he goes and helps Danny for years at Highland, and he's been out since 2010, if you can believe it. Now he's helping out Greg at Volcano.
I was just going to bring that up because now he's going up against Danny if they play each other, and he's already talking like he's the head coach or at least part of the team because he was saying we, so he's invested to helping Greg.
Well, just as much as he was invested in helping Danny. It was so funny because back in the day, listen, Danny Brown, I love Danny Brown, man. I do. He's a great guy. But when he get upset, back in the day, the assistants, and that one of them was Mike Brown, would have to be like, "Okay, sit down." And then when Mike Brown would get upset, it was back in the day, Danny Brown or Greg Brown telling him, "Okay, coach, sit down."
That's funny.
So it came full circle. It came full circle, and there was games back then when you
great.
could do this, and you can't do it anymore. that Mike Brown, when Greg Brown was an assistant, he'd say, well, Greg's the head coach tonight. Greg's going to be doing all the standing. And so they stopped that. You can't do that anymore. So what did he branch off in, Coach Brown? He branched off with his sons, right? Outstanding coaches, outstanding people. Danny Brown, believe me when I'm telling you this, you know this already. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. He's an assistant right now under Coach Broussard. It'll be another year or so before he's a head man somewhere else, no doubt, no question. Greg Brown, he might win won a title with Volcano, won one with Monzano. And I think for Mike Brown, like you mentioned, gosh, there's an enormous amount of pride to see your son, man. You're probably more pride in them, right?
Right.
I would think. I always got more pride out of my son doing well, and you never get as nervous as when your kid is out there. Your stomach is in wrenches, and there's nothing you can do, man, because it's up to them, right?
Right.
But you're never more nervous than when they're performing.
Let's take a look now at the boys' polls. We'll start with 2A, and you got Pecos number 1, Texaco, Magdalena, Newcomb, and Santa Rosa the top 5. Really nothing changing there. Manal is down to number 9 this week.
Well, look at Pecos, man, under Ira Harge. Ira Harge won 2 titles in a row, right? 2 titles in a row for the former St. Pius Sarton, one of the best St. Pius players. And you know what? You know Ira well, too, one of the best.
You talk about a guy who really gets the most out of his players. And, I had a chance a couple of years ago. I did their title game when he won his first. And it was kind of cool because you got players who want to succeed under him.
He's we had him and man, having Ira Harge Sr. here last spring, I still think about
Wasn't that great?
Oh man, Ira Harge Sr. again, people that don't know,
Right.
One of the ABA legends. When he was talking about Rick Barry and he said, "Look, I had a problem with Rick not passing me the ball." Remember that? When he said, I went back. I was like, man, we're talking Ira Harge here. But I think Ira Harge Jr., who I have all the respect for as a person, and again, where did he come from? We saw Ira Harge Sr., and so, you got great people that raise you. You raise great people, and
Right.
he's giving back to the community at Pecos. Can they get 3 in a row? And we said this last spring. Let them enjoy one, right? Because right away people are like, can you get another one? It's like, hey, just let me enjoy this one.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we can do. But they're number 1 so far early in the season.
Well, he was saying that too. He was saying, well, I'd like to enjoy it, but the folks at the school are expecting the next one.
Get right away. Let them
Or
breathe.
the folks in the community,
Right.
I should say.
Now, and it's tough because they hadn't won one in years. All of a sudden, Ira's won 2. The team and Ira Harge, it's not just him. He would be the first guy to say
Right.
the team did it, although he guided them to those championships. And now, they're ranked number 1 early in the season and playing well.
Let's go to 3A on the poll now. And you got St. Mike's number 1, West Las Vegas, Sandia Prep number 3, Bosque, and Hot Springs. And you got Robertson at number 10 here in this division.
Well, St. Mike's again under David Rodriguez, the former head man at Santa Fe. Their horsemen are playing real well and ranked number 1. And Sandia Prep under former St. Pius assistant coach Marco Rivera, number 3. And that's, Marco Rivera was an assistant under Damian Segura
Right.
for many, many years. I teased him when I saw him this summer. I've known Coach Rivera 10 years. And it just looked weird to see him in that Sandia Prep gear. For me that I've seen him in St. Pius gear for so many years. But ranked number 3.
Let's go to 4A now. And in 4A, you got Los Lunas number 1, Hope number 2, Del Norte, Artesia, and Gallup. Hope continues to get the play from the coaches, even though they're coming off a loss.
They always will. I think they Del Norte played Los Lunas last week and lost. But you know what? They've only lost 1 game. We talked about the Knights last week under Coach McIntosh over there. Keep an eye on the Knights. I really like that team. I really do. Pius falls out. Hyden falls out of the top 10. A little bit of surprise there. But I think Zanen Zeller had a big game last week, 30-plus points. So the Tigers under head coach Travis Julian. And Coach Julian, he knows his way around. Man, that guy is
Right.
not because that is one fiery competitor, man. He's another guy that, I repped some games for him when he was the head coach at Monzano. He'd let me know in no uncertain terms. But you know what he'd always say? Ed, I think you're doing a good job. And this is after ripping me. Not bad. Not bad. He's got to
Right.
fight for his kids, and he's an intense coach. He really is.
I got to ask you a question, because we've had this conversation with him before. Is it, riding you, or is he just working you?
He'd do a little bit. If he didn't like a call, he'd definitely ride. He'd ride, man. The other part is working. I'll give you an example. Your colleague Brian O'Neill, okay, at ESPN, who I've known for years, known the O'Neills for years. So Brian would tell me when he's the head coach at Cibola, Ed, I don't mind you calling that call down here as long as you call the same call down.
Right.
Now, that's working me. That's working me.
Right.
So I'd say, Coach, yes, sir. That's all I could say. And, him and I have been friends for a while.
Right.
He'd laugh, I'd laugh. A lot of respect for Brian. People forget what an excellent coach Brian O'Neill. And you know what? Great analyst. I listen to you guys all the time. And a great person. I love the guy. But that's working. Now, if you keep writing like, hey, you do this or you never call this, that's writing.
Right.
I always said to coaches before the game, I don't mind questions. You can ask me anything you want. When you start making statements, we got a problem.
Right.
And so Brian Smith, the smart aleck guy from Cleveland, would be like, Ed, I'm just asking, is it okay if I ask a question? Sure, Coach. So, I love Brian Smith. Yeah, I really did. So, yeah.
Why can't I not imagine him doing it that way?
Brian Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I could see him doing it, actually.
Well, Brian and Smith and I had a relationship. I knew, I had a relationship with 80, 90%. But when it went on the floor, it was business.
Oh, yeah.
There's no friends, right? I'm not going to give you a call because there's no way.
You have to, because it's almost the same thing as there's a lot of coaches that are friends with other coaches.
Right.
But once you're on the court, once you're on the field, hey, the friendship for at least a couple of hours has to go on the wayside.
No, yeah, Terry Darnell was another one, right? Terry Darnell, the head coach of Bernalillo, him and I, before the game, he'd see me. Ed, what's going on, man? Big hug. During the game, oh my gosh. Now you talk about riding. Now I love the guy, okay? He's a great coach and a good person. Man, he'd let you know. Gosh, he'd let you know. And he fought for his kids. He still does. He's one of the best coaches there is in the state. He's won multiple titles. But that guy would let you know. He would definitely let you know.
And finally, we got 5A up there. We got Cleveland, Las Cruces, Volcano Vista, El Dorado, Atrisco. I don't think that's changed.
Cleveland still, Trey Watson did come back, 15 points in his debut. I thought they'd hold him out a little bit longer. Las Cruces and Will Benjamin, keep an eye on them. I had a little discussion with Will last week, and he loved the show last week, by the way. He told us we did a good job. And then he sent me an Aggie picture and an Aggie meme, and I'm not the biggest.
If he doesn't, if he doesn't think that we're going to do a good job, we're going to get an email or a tweet from that man.
You know what? Okay,
because he's very intently watching. He's not just
what kind of?
They're on the, I mean, he keeps track.
What kind of ball player was he at New Mexico State? Intense, defensive-minded. Now his son is a freshman. I saw him the other day. He wears 21 just like his dad.
Nice.
Long arms. I saw him hit a step-back three. He's got the swag that Pop did. I don't know if he has the overall game now, and it's hard to coach your son. You know that.
Right.
But I think Coach Benjamin and Las Cruces right there at number 2. We'll see how they end up, but I always have the utmost respect for Coach Benjamin and his program.
Before we go to our final break, how about the team at number 10, Manzano?
Should be a little higher, I think. Should be a little higher. Keep an eye on them. But you know what? Dominic Romero, if I'm in the locker room, I'm like, hey, guys, they got us at number 10. I'm using that as some incentive. So I bet he is, too.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a break. One more segment on the Sports Desk.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. One more segment here. I know you wanted to talk about a story, Ed, and we'll give you a chance to do that. We got about 7 or 8 minutes left. But first, New Mexico Bowl, the big talk. It was a blowout, probably the first blowout, maybe the second since the game began. Was kind of surprised, although North Texas did lose, apparently, their quarterback in the first quarter, so that made a difference. But Utah State this year, their offense was almost unstoppable. So they look good. Coach Wells was not with the team, obviously, as Coach Wells, who used to be an assistant twice at UNM, is now at Texas Tech. He's going to be the head coach there, so congratulations to him. But it wasn't the game that people expected. Beautiful day. The turnout wasn't as much to be expected. A lot of people make a big deal about it, but it's not like a Lobo game because New Mexico Bowl, that's one of the things that I've talked to Lobo people. If the Lobos are in the New Mexico Bowl, the onus is on them to sell X amount of tickets to make that money for the New Mexico Bowl because you have to buy a block of tickets. So those tickets are sold. So the school buys the tickets. So when they put that amount, that's part of the number.
Well, you know what was it, 25,000 they got out there? I think it was 25.
Yeah, and I'm hearing from people who were there that were saying it didn't even look like it was 12, 13.
Okay. You know, I just saw the attendance in the paper, and I know New Mexico Bowl Executive Director Jeff Symbieta seemed happy with what was out there. You know, he works, we saw him last night.
Well, because both schools, like I said, they have to buy X amount of tickets for a good chunk of money. So they're not losing money by people not being there is what I'm saying.
Right, okay.
I don't think so, at least.
Right. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. I think it was a surprise.
And Utah State, you know, people talk about them not drawing well. But then again, the town's only 23,000.
I remember you mentioned
Logan, Utah is 23,000, which is just a little bit bigger than Los Lunas, I think, about maybe 9,000 more than Los Lunas.
I'm trying to imagine that. Yeah.
You know, so 23,000, and then, you know, North Texas, I didn't think they were going to travel well, although they have pretty good home attendance. But when you only have a couple of weeks to prepare to make a trip, it's kind of hard to get people to travel that far.
No, it is. And, you know, so many things come into play, the holidays and, you know, do you have disposable income? But I just want to say this real quick about the game. I thought I was kind of surprised it was that big of a blowout because I was listening on the radio and they said that Utah State, again, Matt Wells not there, the offensive coordinator wasn't there, and they made it sound as if several assistants weren't there as well. But you mentioned...
I think they lost all but 1 or 2 coaches.
Okay.
I think that's what because I heard the same thing, and I think that's what they were talking about.
So, you know what, Utah State, you mentioned how unstoppable they were all year long, and they still were. You know, so hats off to them. They played a good game.
Now you got a story about Bubba Jennings.
I had to say this is funny because, you know, I was the hot shot winner, the hot shot competition. You remember where you shoot from all areas. You know, I was the community center winner. So at that time in 8th grade, I went to the pit, and if I wanted to pit statewide, this is statewide competition. So if I win at the pit, I go to Phoenix. Little did I know my opponent was Brooks, wasn't quite Bubba then, Brooks Jennings, and I didn't know who he was. And man, I thought I could shoot. This guy shot the lights out. I didn't get anywhere close to Phoenix, anywhere close. So Bubba, early on, and then I played against him in the North-South game, North-South All-Star game in 1980. Wallace Williams played for the South as well. Wallace, the assistant coach at Cleveland, still the Cleveland Storm. Bubba had 29 points. Wallace Williams had 28. They beat us 120 to 113 without three-point shots. So I want you to think, and everybody said this, Bubba, I think, had 75 points against Roswell Goddard in one game. So imagine if there was three-point shots. He'd have hit 100 probably, right? Unbelievable range. The thing that I remember most about him, every time he shot, he squared to the basket. His shoulders are square. In the championship game that year when I was a senior, they lost to Hobbs. But it was my understanding that he was coming down the court, and he was telling the Hobbs players, I'm going to pull up from here, and there's nothing you can do to stop this. He had 38 points. Clovis lost. Legend, deserves, former Artesia coach, head basketball coach. He deserves the induction as well in the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and just hearing about his range and talking to you about it, it's amazing because we've had Marvin Johnson on the program a lot, and, he was known as automatic, but it sounds like Bubba Jennings was pretty automatic himself,
pretty solid,
if not more so.
Pretty solid career at Texas Tech. Got selected when there was 5 rounds of the draft. At that time, there isn't any more. Got selected by the Boston Celtics. Dallas Mavericks, 5th round draft choice. Didn't play in the pros. Well, didn't have the quickness or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, as far as New Mexico folklore, one of the best shooters we've ever seen.
Right.
You mentioned Bryce Alford, and Bryce Alford was an amazing shooter. Now, when they ask, was he as good as Bubba? I think Bryce. Yes, I do think he was. Bryce Alford was amazing. Again, Bubba didn't have the three-point shot that Bryce did. The three-point opportunities, it didn't count for as much. But I think, Bryce was he as good as Bubba? I think he was. I think Bryce had you called several of those games when Bryce played here. And I thought he had the range Bubba did. I mean, Bryce would come down from 35, 38, 6 feet and score.
Right.
So did Bubba, though. But remember, they didn't count for as much. But Bubba's folklore, man. But when you mention Bubba Jennings in New Mexico, that's folklore right there.
And real quickly, got to mention, how about the Lobo women's basketball team beating New Mexico State over the weekend 75-50 to improve to 8-1. They play tomorrow night.
Yeah, athleticism, length, speed. I like that team a lot. I really do. He brings some substitutions, off the bench. Jaden De La Cerda, the sophomore, had a big game at the Pan American Center. And
21 points.
Had a contingency of fans that followed her over there from Roswell. There's a game that I saw earlier that I thought she was taking shots a little bit outside her range. Really played well against the Aggies, and the Lobos won going away. You know what, Mike Bradbury, I'm telling you, this team is flying under the radar right now. They really are. I think they're a very good team, and I think the best is yet to come.
You mentioned De La Cerda, 21 points, 7 of 11 shooting. She also added 7 rebounds.
Which is for a guard? She's a guard, man. So for 7 rebounds, she's really chasing those, really hustling to get those.
And one of those was offensive. Jason Nunn leading the team, 17.5 points. Asia Robertson, 15 points, as the second leading scorers were in our final minute.
Asia Robertson has been on the attack lately. She's really been playing well. Jason Nunn, when she gets the ball in the post, you're not going to stop her. Plus, the Lobos' leading rebounder. Like I said, I really like Mike Bradbury's squad.
Well, Ed, that'll do it for this edition. Next week, we will actually be on Wednesdays since Christmas falls on Tuesday. Want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, Scott. Been a blast as always.
Like to thank Alden Iowani and everyone else here at Proview Networks for being a part of the show. For Ed Nunez, Scott Coletti, we'll talk to you next week on the Sports Desk.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a